Okay, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Cochran. I'm the principal at Lindbergh High School, and I'm happy to invite you to our curriculum night. And more specifically, this is the eighth grade parent presentation portion of our curriculum night. It's going to probably feel like we're moving through this pretty quickly as we go through a lot of information for you. That's because we have time that we need to make sure we're wrapped up, and that's by 6:35. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to, after this presentation, go and jump into some of our content areas that were shared out with you earlier. Just if you're not aware, I did share out all the links to Zooms for our departments that you can go jump into once you're finished with this portion. You can visit 6 different departments to learn about what they offer for the 9th grade year or to ask any questions. That includes not only our math and our English and our science, our social studies, and our various different elective departments. But we also have a link there for our honors program if you want to learn more about our honors programs at the high school. So, like I said, that'll start at about 6:40. But in the meantime, we're going to jump right in and go through some slides here for you so that you have some information about what it means to be a student at Lindbergh High School. So next slide, Tony. So again, I'm Eric Cochran, principal of Lindbergh High School. This is my 23rd year in the district this year, and it's my 6th year as the principal at the high school. And I am also a parent in the district. Next slide. This is your 2025 team, your class of 2025 team. Mr. Turner, who is here with us tonight, is the 9th grade principal. Mrs. Honey is the 9th grade counselor. John Reithmeyer is another counselor that you may have. John is actually the counselor for students who have an IEP or work through the special school district program. And then our secretary is Debbie Kohler Montgomery in the 9th grade office. Also on the call tonight is Miranda Galvin. She's our honors coordinator. And as I said before, she'll have sessions available later after this is over to answer any questions you have specifically about honors. As we go through this, please know that we do have the Q&A function available down at the bottom. If you have questions, you can ask those questions throughout, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go. And then I also want to quickly thank Tony Dobson for putting this together for us. He works in our communications office, and he's the one that helps make this available. If you need to review anything after this meeting, you can review it. We will share out the link so that you can go back, go over it with your child, anything you need to do if you feel like you missed something, because we are going to go pretty quickly. Next slide, please. Quick timeline so you know what to expect moving forward. Students are going to start the registration now. Schedules will be available in early August. So it'll be a while before you actually see your schedule. That schedule will be put out in the SIS portal. You'll have access to that probably not long before school starts. August 18th right now is the tentative date we have for our transition day. That's usually an all-day event at the high school where students get an orientation and learn what it means to be a freshman. Right now, that's tentative. Everything is kind of tentative in the world we're living in currently, but that's what we're hoping for is August 18th. And then the first day of school would be on August 23rd. Next slide, please. If you are here as a private school student, if you're not currently in Lindbergh schools and you have any questions about anything regarding our enrollment process, the number on the screen is the one you'll want to contact. That's Terry Musante over at Central Office. She handles all new enrollments for students who are coming to Lindbergh for the first time. I'll come back towards the end to, again, just kind of give you a reminder as to how the rest of this night's going to go after this presentation. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mrs. Honey, who's going to start talking about the high school nuts and bolts.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Next slide, please, Tony. Thank you. My name is Mrs. Honey, Holly Honey, and this year I'm the current 12th grade counselor, which means that I now have the opportunity to loop down with the incoming 9th graders for next year. So very much looking forward to working with you over the next 4 years. I'm going to go quickly over some basics. Just so you know, I will be going over this in more detail with the students at Sparing and Truman. Next slide, please. So I want to start with the basics of total graduation requirements. You have to have 24 credits to graduate, which comes down to 4 credits of English, 3 science, social studies math, 1 practical art, and 1 fine art. And again, I'll go more in depth with the students on what is a practical art, what is a fine art. We do need 1 credit of physical education, a half a credit or 1 semester of health, and a half a credit of personal financial management. At the bottom, you see 7 credits of electives. That includes modern language. I have a lot of students are concerned sometimes about how do they get all 7 credits of electives. Those will happen naturally. If you'll notice, if you take 3 credits of math, that's for your graduation requirement, but anyone who takes a 4th credit of math, that 4th year of math becomes an elective. So it is not at all a concern for students to get their 7 credits of electives. They will be able to do that naturally as they go through the year. Next slide, please. Our LHS course guide is called our Navigator, and that is available all online. If you go to the Lindbergh High School website, it's under counseling, and then if you look down the side of the page, you'll see a registration, and then it's under registration. The Navigator has every class offered at Lindbergh High School and a brief description of what that class is about, as well as any prerequisites that class might have. So next slide, please. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Riethmeyer, who's going to go over the forms with you of what your student will need to do to register for classes.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of going over a lot of the paperwork and all the really exciting stuff. Over the last couple days, your students should have received their teacher recommendation form. It looks something like this, and this is kind of used as an aid to help students select what they ought to take in the core areas of modern language next year. And this is basically based on their performance this year as in 8th grade, their work ethic, motivation, and those types of intangibles that teachers want to give some feedback and some recommendations to give kids some direction as to what they might want to do. So be looking for this. It was either given to students if they're in person or emailed out to students if they are in ARC. Next slide. Registration steps. What this is going to do, this is probably the single most important slide in this presentation in terms of getting kids signed up for courses for next year. This outlines everything. We're going to go into this in great detail with students over the next week or so. But I'm just going to briefly go over it on here. The 5 steps are, number 1, there's a registration form, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in a moment. But there is a link on this where kids can access it right away. Second, they can review the Navigator, which is what Ms. Honey talked about. That has all the course descriptions in there and is our course planning document, if you will. Also in the Navigator and also linked in this presentation are the 9th grade course options. Students have quite a few different options to choose from. That document just lists all of them on one page and also provides the course numbers that correspond to the courses. We have a 7-period day here at Lindbergh, so students are going to choose courses to fill up the 7 periods, as well as a few backup courses, just in case we run into any problems where something may not be offered or something conflicts with something else. Steps 4 and 5 are probably the 2 most important things on here. Step 4, kids are going to upload input their courses into SIS. And step 4, that goes over the instructions step by step of how to do that. The one thing students need to know is that they will need to use their iPad or a computer. They will not be able to do that via a phone. And then finally, in step 5, everything this year primarily is going to be electronic. We're not going to have paper copies of stuff. We're trying to minimize that. So the registration form that students can access in step 1 of this, we will need them to turn that in via a Google form. So they'll turn it in electronically. And that just goes over how to do that. They will not turn it in paper format this year. And then steps 4 and 5, or this whole process, will need to be completed by Friday, February 12th. So we're going to really kick this off tonight and over the next couple days with students, but they're going to have several weeks to stew over this, think about it, ask questions, and kind of move forward in this process. Next slide. Here's what the registration form is going to look like. This is what the students will download when they click that registration form on the previous document. And on here, they're just going to type in all this information, their name, their grade level, and then where it says the number 1 is, it lists core courses. All students are required to take their 4 core courses, so they'll put that in there. One thing that's very important that students do is they find and they put in their course number that goes with the course that they're taking. And I'll show you how to find that in a moment. But that is how students will import or input their courses into our system, is by the course number. Below that, it says modern language and/or elective courses. Those are the 3 courses beyond the core where students can select as well. And then in the bottom section, that's where we want students to come up with some alternatives or backups in case we run into any issues. Next slide, please. The next slide, this goes over what the 9th grade course option sheet looks like. It lists all the courses a student can take on one page. In front of every course, it lists the 4-digit course number. So we try and make it as easy as possible. One thing we recommend or we want students to consider is to focus on their graduation requirements freshman and sophomore year. And what we mean by that is we recommend, once students take their core classes, when they have some choices in the matter with stuff, we recommend they consider taking PE, practical art, fine art, and/or health. And those are some things that the sooner they get that done with, the better, which opens up more opportunities later for them in high school. Next slide. So when will your student get all this information? This quickly kind of goes over when we're going to outline this or go into great detail with your students. We're going to Truman tomorrow and Friday. On Monday, we're going to be meeting with our ARC students via Zoom. And then next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to be meeting with Sparing. So within the next week, all of your students will get the in-depth, thorough presentation going into this in greater detail. And then beyond these presentations, we have a follow-up where we meet with students in their social studies classes and can kind of have a more intimate conversation or more personal conversation with them. Next slide. So what should a student take freshman year? As a reminder, we have a 7-period day, so students need to choose classes to fill those 7 periods. On the left side of this, it shows the required classes. English, world history, biology, and math are all required for students. So kicking and screaming, they have the pleasure of taking those 4 areas. Beyond that, what we get into is what we recommend and other things to consider. We recommend students take a semester of PE and health. We recommend they consider taking a learning lab, and I'll talk more about a learning lab on the next slide. And then additional things for students to consider would be modern language, a practical art, or a fine art. What is listed on this slide is more than 7 items, but that just kind of gives you a list of what is required and then where areas students can kind of choose from in fulfilling and the rest of their 7 classes. Next slide. As for a learning lab, this is something I just mentioned. A learning lab is something we recommend students consider taking. What it is basically a study hall. Learning lab's just our fancy way of saying study hall, but it's 1 class period on a student's schedule that allows students to get some homework done, some studying done. They can meet with tutors during that time. The only thing about a learning lab that we need to make people aware is no academic credit is given for a learning lab. Now, with a student taking, if a student would take a learning lab all 4 years of high school, they would still earn the 24 credits they need for graduation. So by taking a learning lab, it does not sabotage a student from graduating on time, but it's something that we recommend, especially our athletes and students that are in band that have a lot more responsibilities on top of their day, to consider taking a learning lab to get some work done during the day and to have a breather as well. Next slide. Finally, the last item that I wanted to speak on is about schedule adjustments. We want students to really spend some time now over the next several weeks and choose their courses carefully. We're trying to give them guidance from their teachers on what they ought to take. We're trying to give them all the options that are out there so they can kind of stew over it and think about it. But we want students to make their final choices, if you will, by February 12th. And the reason why is based on what students choose is how we build our master schedule. So we wait and build our schedule after we know what students want. So if we have courses that students don't sign up for, we just don't offer them. The more class or what students sign up for, we're going to populate, and we're going to have teachers that teach that. So we need to know what kids want. However, we have to kind of put an end to that or put some restrictions on that. So if a student wants to make an adjustment or anything, what we say is ideally we want everything chosen by Friday the 12th of February. However, we realize there might need to be some tweaks or something. So over the next couple months, if a tweak needs to be made, we can do that. But once summer arrives, we are locked in. We are not able to do any schedule adjustments at that point. Also, we're not able to do teacher requests. With over 2,000 students, it is impossible to make that work. So we want to be upfront with everybody. The one exception is with schedule changes is if a student does not have a learning lab and the school year starts up to 6 weeks into the school year, we can drop an elective class and have a student pick up a learning lab. Sometimes students might bite off a little bit more than they can chew. So we want to give them that opportunity to add a learning lab if they do not already have one up until the first 6 weeks of school. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Miranda Galvin, who's the honors coordinator. So if you can go to the next slide, and Miranda will kind of take over.
Thanks, John. Good evening, welcome. Thanks for everyone for being here tonight. I want to go over a few items related to honors, and then I will host some sessions. If you have specific questions related to honors, I'd be happy to answer those. Next slide, please. One of the most common questions I get about honors is why is a course labeled honors, AP, or IB? And that really comes from who creates the curriculum. So if a class is labeled honors, then that means Lindbergh has created the curriculum for that course. As those labels change to AP and IB, that means that an outside entity, the College Board or International Baccalaureate, is determining those curriculums. So I have a sample down there of how some courses move throughout a student's 9th through 12th grade years, and you can see how the labels change. All of those classes are weighted for honors classes. They're just different labels. Next slide, please. So currently we are offering a very robust advanced placement program known as AP. These are college level courses taken during high school. All AP classes have an exam in May, and students can earn a score of 1 through 5. What's great about AP classes is many universities recognize and award either placement or credit for AP exam courses taken in high school, which gives students a jump start when they move on to college. So currently Lindbergh offers 25 AP courses. Usually if a student's on grade level, AP Government would be the first AP class they would take in the 10th grade. So as a freshman, you'll see that most classes are labeled honors or college prep. And then in 11th and 12th grade, it really opens up. With 24 other offerings, the students have a lot of great choices to complete their schedules. Next slide, please. I wanted to briefly talk tonight about AP Capstone, which is a diploma program that will be offered for the class of 2025. The AP Capstone course is a two-year course made up of AP Research and AP Seminar. The AP Research and Seminar courses are skill-based classes. They work on collaboration, communication, critical thinking. It takes what students are learning in their classrooms that are more content specific, and then allows the students to do something in a deeper way with them. In year 1 in seminar, the students learn how to analyze different sources of information and create evidence-based arguments. They do that as a team and then as an individual, and there is an AP exam at the end of seminar. Then if they do well in that course, they can take AP Research. And in AP Research, the students actually spend the year researching a topic of choice. They write a 5,000-word academic paper and then a 15 to 20-minute defense of that paper. So the AP Capstone, combined with at least 4 other AP courses, creates the AP diploma opportunity. So this is a little bit down in the future, but as you're thinking about what freshman year looks like and then start thinking ahead, This is a great program that you really might want to consider for your son or daughter. You can see there's some great benefits to being a part of AP Capstone. Students stand out in the in the college process. They learn those key skills, critical thinking, collaboration, and it's really setting them up to be successful in college. I did want to mention that we currently still offer the IB program, but we will be transitioning to the AP Capstone Diploma program for the class of 25. Next slide, please. So once a student picks his schedules, like John was saying, it is really important the students stay in those classes. So we do have a process for if a student has taken a class that maybe isn't going well for them. The first part of that process is that they stay in the class for the first month of the school year. There is a natural transition time to 9th grade. And what we want for our students is to learn how to work with their teachers, use the interventions that we have in place at Lindbergh for academic support, and to try and find success in that course. If after a month that's not going well, then there is a process to drop an honors class. It starts with a teacher. The teacher has a form that they will share with the student, and then it becomes a team process. The team is me and you, the parent, the student, the teacher, the counselor, and we all work together to reach a decision that is best for the student. One thing to keep in mind is that as the students are going through this process, they want to stay caught up in their work because sometimes the team does reach a decision that the student should stay in the honors class. So the last thing I want to talk about is that when you look at those recommendation forms from the 8th grade teachers, keep in mind, take a balanced workload. Each student is a little bit different and what they can handle is unique. Just because you're recommended for all honors classes doesn't mean you have to take those. So you know your child best and what they can handle. Taking a balanced load is really what we encourage. Next slide, please. Okay, and now we'll turn it over to the choice programs.
Thank you. So Lindbergh offers quite a few choice programs, and we call them choice programs because the students have a choice if they want to participate in these programs. Most of or all of them are available junior and or senior year, but sometimes it's good to just hear about them at least in your planning process. You might want to take certain classes before you get there or something like that. Next slide, please. I'll start with the first one. South Tech. Many of you have probably heard from South Tech about South Tech. That is the probably one of the longest running choice programs that we have. It is for juniors and seniors. The time is split between the high school and South Technical High School. So you'll be here part of the day and you'll go to South Tech part of the day. It's for those students who really want a hands-on learning experience. In the Navigator, you will see we have listed the 25 plus options that South Tech offers our students for them to participate in. You can also go to South Technical High School website and that's how you apply and that's how you can read about all of their different programs. But it's great for those students who want to really get in there and learn with their hands and see what it's really like. Next slide, please. The St. Louis CAPS program, that is a new program we have participated in this year. It is available to juniors and seniors. And again, like South Tech, you split time between the high school and then you'll go to the CAPS program. Very personalized learning experiences. Students sign up for the areas of interest that they have. They have different types of programs that if you're interested in like healthcare, for example, you can actually go to and work with healthcare professionals like in a hospital setting or a doctor's office or a dentist office or any type of healthcare. And they really work at helping students have that experience in something they are particularly interested in and do some real live work in that industry. There's an application process for this program, and there is for, I believe, every one of the programs, there's an application process. Okay, next one, please. Internships, these are also available for juniors and seniors. This allows students to pursue some work-based learning and professional skills in a career path of their choice. So that's done all through the high school here, and the high school will help the students find different places to do internships, or the student can come up with a place they would like to go, and they'll try to work out a partnership. But it definitely gives some very good hands-on learning experience to see if that's really a career that the student would like to pursue. Okay, next slide, please. The early college program, this is relatively new also. We've been doing, this current year is the second year we've had it. Juniors and seniors students can attend St. Louis Community College full-time. So that means they will not take any classes at the high school. All of their classes will be taken at the St. Louis Community College. You can earn a high school diploma at the same time as you earn your associate's degree. So it saves a lot of, if you know for sure kind of what you're wanting to do whenever you graduate from high school and you're interested in getting a jump start on some of those college classes, this is a great program to be a part of. There is an application process. Tuition is paid for by Lindbergh High School. The students are responsible for all their textbooks and fees, but it's a great savings and a great opportunity if that's something that a student is interested in. Okay, next slide. So we have two very confusing terms here at the high school. And keep in mind, I talk about these things every year when I go and speak to the students. So they will hear these terms over and over again before they even get to be juniors and seniors. We have several options for college credit here at the high school. We have dual credit, and this is a credit that a student will earn here at the high school. They'll be taking a high school class that they can also get college credit for. So this class is taught at Lindbergh High School by a Lindbergh High School teacher. There's a reduced cost for the student to get the college credit portion of that class. And so you can take the class either just for high school credit, or you have the opportunity to take the high school class for high school credit and college credit. All of the college dual credit options are listed in our navigator. Then we come to dual enrollment, which is slightly different. This is available to seniors only, but the students involved in dual enrollment receive only college credit for their college classes. So that means we do not give them high school credit for their college class. This is a class that they would take actually at St. Louis Community College. So they would come to school part of the day at Lindbergh High School and finish their graduation requirements. And then they would leave the rest of the day and go to St. Louis Community College and take classes there for college credit only. Like I said, we do not put those on their high school transcript. They're taught by community college professors, and they are actually taught at that institution. There's a reduced cost for these students, so it's usually a pretty good idea to go ahead and try to get a few dual credit classes in if you're looking at reducing some of the costs for college as you get to graduation. And you can take any of the classes that they offer as long as you meet the college's prerequisites. All right, next slide. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Turner.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Turner. I am the assistant principal that will oversee the class of 2025. The way our administrative structure and counseling structure goes, Mrs. Honey and I will be with your students all 4 years. So if you have questions at any point tonight, tomorrow, or through May of 2025, you are more than welcome to contact me, and I'll be the person who can get you the answers you need. I'm going to talk about two things really quickly. Summer reading that you see on the slide in front of you now. The details of this will be shared out via students English class, or if you are an out-of-district student during your enrollment meeting. It's all freshman English classes require summer reading, but there will be more details to come on that. I don't want to belabor that right now. Next slide, please. Summer school. There have been a few questions that have come up in the chat about summer school. Summer school for incoming freshmen. You can see the details down below, June 14th through July 22nd. It meets on Mondays and through Thursdays from June 14th to July 22nd. The course guide and registration will be available online in February. Again, if you have questions about that, you can reach out to Mrs. Honey, Dr. Riethmeyer, or myself, and we will be happy to get you the information that you need. But summer school is a really great way for students to transition into the high school. The courses they can take: PE, health, arts and crafts, get a fine art out of the way. And it really, what it really allows students to do is to put a learning lab into their schedule during the regular school year, and then not feel the pressure of having to get all of their credits, that you can kind of work ahead and set yourself up for a successful path through high school. Next slide, please. The A+ scholarship. I told you I was going to talk about two things. I got time for a third real quick. The A+ scholarship is something you'll hear a lot about. It gets you free tuition to any junior college, any community college in the state of Missouri for 2 years. It's a great program. All of the information is on our website. It runs through my office. So if you have questions, I am more than happy to field them through email. But it's a really great program. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, hand it back to Dr. Cochran to fill you in on the rest of the evening.
All right, so that was a pretty quick run through of an overview of where we are with our academics for your incoming freshmen, and we're really excited to meet all of them. A couple things here for the rest of the night. We said we would be done by 6:35. It's actually now 6:31. This is the exact type of efficiency you can come to expect for the next 4 years. I'm sure we will be this efficient forever after. So the format for tonight, 6:40 is the first session in which you can jump in and go ask specific questions to any department in which you may have concerns, questions, interest. Like I said, we have all of our departments represented. We have our honors program represented. You have 6 different sessions that you can jump into. They will start every 10 minutes. Each one of those departments might have something a little bit different in terms of what they're going to be presenting. Some of them, it may be mostly an open Q&A. If you are having any trouble, please remember this. I emailed out all the links to all 8th grade parents today, so hopefully you have that. If you cannot find that, you are welcome to reach out to me at ecochran@lindberghschools.ws. That's ecochran, C-O-C-H-R-A-N, @lindberghschools.ws, and I will try to help you. I'll be in my office here until curriculum night is over. You can also call my office phone here. My office phone is 314-729-2400, extension 1600. That will bring you directly to me, and I'll do anything I can to answer your questions throughout the next hour or so. So if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out, and I will try to answer them, even if it's simply, how do I find this Zoom? We'll try to get you where you need to be. Okay, next slide. I think we have one more, and these are all the different departments that will be represented. We will have staff members in those Zooms to answer any questions that you have. If at any point in time, please know this is not your last opportunity to ask questions of us. We're here and we're going to support you for the next 4 years. And so don't hesitate to reach out to myself, to Mr. Turner, Mrs. Honey, or Dr. Reithmeyer. If it's about honors, you can reach out to Mrs. Gelvin. We will always answer your questions, any questions that you have. We're here to help support you. So with that, we will keep this open just long enough to maybe answer. I see there's still a couple Q&As here. So we'll make sure we are able to answer any of the questions. I know the rest of the team has been answering those as we go. So we'll keep this open until those are opened up. But otherwise, this session's over and you can go move on to your Zooms that were shared out again in an email sometime this morning to all parents. Thank you for joining. We're really excited to meet your children. Take care.